Hey guys, Mnar Muhawesh here. I am still at the scenes where George Floyd was killed. I'm here in Minneapolis where his memorial is taking place. There's a massive gathering outside of the building that I'm in right now. And I'm standing right now in the grocery store called Cup Foods, where George Floyd was killed basically on the front steps of the store by Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. So I'm here speaking with the owner. His name is Mahmoud Abumayyaleh. And we're going to be talking to him about what happened that day and what led up to, what they saw here with the police and how the community is coming together for George Floyd. So I'm going to flip the camera here to talk to Mahmoud. Mahmoud, thank you for speaking with me today. So there's a massive gathering taking place right in front of your store with the community coming together seeking justice for George Floyd. And your store has not been open for the last week because it's basically the doorsteps in front of your store have basically turned into one gigantic memorial for George Floyd. And so I think for people that are watching, they want to know from the very beginning what happened when George Floyd came into your store before that tragic event took place.
Someone who was with George presented a counterfeit bill to one of our clerks first, and the clerk identified the bill as being counterfeit, returned it to the friend of George, and that person left the establishment without the authorities being called. About 15 minutes later, George Floyd came in and presented a different counterfeit $20 bill, and the employee did not identify it as counterfeit, took the bill. George Floyd left the establishment, and a few minutes later, after the bill was identified as counterfeit, that's when the authorities are called on the counterfeit bill to take the counterfeit bill. Now, when the authorities arrived, George Floyd was still outside, and that's when they approached him and arrested him.
And what is the normal procedure that takes place when a $20 bill is called? Like, what do police normally do? What was the expectation?
Well, here, we never call the police on counterfeit bills. We do train our employees to call the authorities after they confiscate the bill from the customer and report it to the authorities. So there's never any dialogue between the customer and the authorities because they just come collect the bill and they leave. Now normally, when I take a counterfeit bill, I let the customer know that it's fake, I confiscate it and give it to the authorities at a later time or when I see them at another time.
And so George Floyd was obviously contacted by police while he was sitting in his car, and I know that you weren't present, but what did your staff tell you happened next?
I didn't ask my staff about the incident. What we seen on video was George Floyd was arrested and he was taken across the street from where they first approached him to another squad car which was in front of our establishment, and that's where the tragedy took place.
Okay. And what has been the community's response towards the store and to yourself?
For the most part, the community has been really supportive of us. The community has backed us up and been there for us. Around here, and the people that are not from this community have showed some negativity and some scrutiny. But for the most part, people that know us and have been in our establishment have supported us and stand with us.
And how long have you been in this community for?
31 years. We opened in 1989.
And how do you feel about the doorsteps of your store turning into a memorial and just seeing the entire country come together for justice for Floyd?
The incident with George Floyd wasn't just a tragedy and a murder. George Floyd is now a symbol of justice. George Floyd now represents all black people in America and represents the police brutality against black people in America. And hopefully the 4 officers that were present at the scene will be held accountable for what took place.
Are you happy that Keith Ellison took over the case as prosecutor?
I'm happy that the 4 officers have been charged. Yeah. One more thing I'd like to mention too is we have a mural that was made outside of our store in memory of George Floyd, and it's really, really nice, and I'm sure everybody's seen it. And one other thing that we decided too, for the record, is that unless there's a violent crime taking place in our store, we've made it that it's for the best interest of our employees and our customers to not call the authorities unless there's a violent crime taking place.
And that's what I was going to ask you, is do you ever plan on calling the police ever again?
We feel like we can police our own matters unless there's a violent crime taking place.
Right. And How has the family of George Floyd been? I saw that you were with them. They came, they embraced you, his family embraced you, they hugged you. You were at the funeral today, where they had George Floyd's body in the casket. How has that been?
It's been a pleasant experience with his family. His family was just as pleasant as he was. They were very humble and down to earth, and they were very happy that we were here to accommodate them.
And talk to me about, this is my final question, about George Floyd. I mean, it sounds like you knew him actually personally.
George Floyd, I didn't know him personally. He used to come in our establishment to pay his phone bill. He's had his phone serviced here, he's had his phone fixed here, and he's been a customer of ours regularly for about a year or so.
So how would you describe his character?
He was a pleasant guy.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Assalamu alaikum.